The Pinball Network is online. Launching.
Pinball Party.
Holy shit, Jason.
What's up?
What are you doing?
What do you mean? What am I doing?
Kaneda.
Yeah, he's coming on.
I can't believe it.
Oh, come on, knock it off with this fucking dramatic music. It's just a podcast. Anyways, welcome. No, I can't. Come on, play the music. Yeah. Welcome to episode 31 of the Pinball Party podcast. I am your host, Jason. Today we have a show for you.
Eat shit.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it, buddy.
How could you?
Dude, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Not a big deal. Just another pinball podcaster coming on to talk some shit. He's the nicest guy in pinball. Kaneda will be joining us in a little while. We're going to talk to him about his motivation as a pinball podcaster, get to know his balls, and, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Do you think they are cool with it?
What do you mean? Who?
The Pinball Network.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I could give him a call.
Nice.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jason. Just heads up, I'm going to have Kaneda on the next episode, so I just... Yeah, right. Yeah, they're cool.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get to that guest, there was a request I put out last week for those who got messed up texts to send them in, and so I could, you know, just read them out of context on the show. I did get a few. Some I definitely cannot read. This one, though, seems, you know, fine. It's just a screenshot of a text with the subject states, fucked up texts. Okay. It's a screenshot of just a conversation. Here we go. It starts with, can I do wire transfer or money order, ? The response, yeah, we go that. Bank or Zelle? The response, oh, I have a bank that uses Zelle. Then we could do Zelle. And it's an image of a Godzilla LE, and it says $10,000. What the fuck? That's broken English and a crazy price for a Godzilla LE. No context. So there you go. Thank you. And from a couple podcasts ago, I was talking about horses and how I couldn't think of any horses in pinball. Well, fuck me, I forgot about Fire. They have horses on the back glass, as does Frontier, though this person had never played it. Thank you for reaching out with that correct answer. Beyond that, I just want to say thanks to the patrons again. Stop it. Thank you to Doc and Kale for joining last week and talking through more of the Pinside Top 100 list and games we are thankful for. Lots of great feedback on that as well. I guess we will keep doing that in the future because I guess them shits are bangers. In my personal pinball life, I listed every game I have for sale. Yeah, I need money for a new car that I happen to have to get. So Foo Fighters is gone. Shit. So is Dracula. No. I still have Jurassic Park Premium and Star Wars Comic Pro. If anyone's interested, check my listings on Pinside under Wild Rover. They're good prices and all that in great condition. But yeah, sometimes I need money for life stuff and sometimes I need money for pinball stuff. Right now it's life stuff. And part of life stuff is not the just announced 2 hours ago, the Godzilla topper. $1,000. You got an extra $1,000 to throw in the trash? I guess if you're a topper person, there's your topper. I don't know. Sorry. I'm kind of really just, the zeitgeist is like, look at that piece of shit. And I've looked at it and I'm like, that's cool. If it was like $100, shit, yeah. But $1,000, I mean, just don't buy it. Please don't buy it so they don't make this type of stuff. Don't. Buy the Black Knight topper that they don't make anymore. Buy the Fishtails topper, because that's also awesome. The Rush topper, very awesome. Worth the money? I don't know, but as far as toppers go, top tier topper. But Godzilla, the most popular game out there, I guess, kind of. So they'll make money. There'll be enough people to buy it. But truly, it looks cool. For $1,000, I would much rather put that $1,000 towards like groceries, bills, things like that. But it does have a saving grace. We do have a topper of a fictional beast smoking a bong. So we got that. If we take the $100 that it's probably worth, toss in, I don't know, $200 for the bong reference, you got a $300 topper, it's $1,000. There you go. Go lose $700. The Godzilla topper just announced by Stern. Where can you go if you want to lose $700? I have just the place.
When I buy my pinball shit, I buy from flipping out. From toppers, sharp plates, premiums, I've got it figured out. Flipping out, figured out. When I think of pinball, I think flipping out. Flipping out, figured out. When I buy from flipping out. Buy.
There's some free marketing for you. Lose $700. Flipping out. No, I'm sorry. Flipping Out Pinball is a fantastic place to buy pinball machines, accessories, Stern, Jersey Jack, American, all that. I buy it from there. I bought from there before they were a sponsor, but now they are a sponsor of the show. Thank you, Zach, Nicole, Greg. Fantastic company. If you like, I don't know about you, but if you are like one of those weirdos that like honest sellers with great support and they get back to you all the time, almost instantly, if you're one of those weirdos that likes that, go buy Flippin' Out Pinball. If you don't like that, send me a message. I'll give you a few to buy from. You'll have a great time. They'll rip you off. They won't get back to you. They'll lie about the price, and they'll say, I just can't do free shipping. It's literally impossible. Strange, isn't it? When you deal with good distributors, what happens? Flipping out. Do it. All right, let's bring in our guest. Our guest, Kaneda, is one of the most popular pinball podcasters out there. Also one of the most popular pinball streamers out there. He's a 6-time TWIPY award-winning podcast, has numerous amounts of patrons supporting his show, which is behind a paywall, but for him, it does really well. He does constant streams on Facebook Live, Spectacular, I think is what it's called, on Saturdays. A very controversial person in the industry, I'll say. A lot of rumors, a lot of good, a lot of bad. But hey, let's talk to him ourselves and find out about all of that. So welcome to the show, Kaneda. How you doing?
Good. I never miss a party. Thanks for having me, Jason.
Yeah, you bet. This is your first foray, I guess, kind of into TPN-ish, I guess?
First time ever. I'm coming in through the back door.
The back door.
I'm happy you're having me.
A lot of people have asked to have you on. Of course, elephant in the room. Some people say you have a reputation. And there's people like, oh, ask the hard questions. Like, I'm not a fucking asshole. I'm not going to bring someone on and just be like, hey, you piece of shit, fuck you. Right. That'd be fun.
Well, before we get going, first of all, ask me anything. Secondarily, I was thinking, can I get Jason not to curse? And I'm like, that's a futile effort. So curse away, but here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
For every curse, I'm going to add $5 into a fund to get a Haggis Pinball Factory tour, okay? And we're going to offer that money to Damien to the charity of his choice if he just shows us behind the doors at Haggis. So curse away. So the more you curse, the more we're going to donate to charity. So let's effing do this.
That's yeah, you missed a few syllables in that word, but it's funny. When I first did the first episode, so long ago, 2 people reached out, Zach Meny and Kaneda. Kaneda's message is like, hey, awesome, thanks for joining, all that, and then some advice, don't swear so much.
Yeah.
And I thought, I get what you're saying, because, as far as like a family show and getting more audience, and that totally makes sense. I was like, that for me, I just got to be me, and I'm not like leaning into the F-bombs, I just talk that way. I'm like, the only way I'm doing this is if I just, so in a way, I was like, I'm just going to double down on it then. I'm going to say words all the time. And it ended up, being a lot more freeing for me personally, because I do this as just like, probably similar to you, like I do it for my own sake. If people listen, that's great. But,
Look, it's your house. It's your rules. I love it. I mean, I was listening to a few episodes and I was like, man, the last one, I think I heard like 50 F-bombs in the first 10 minutes. I'm like, let's do it. Yeah. So we're going to raise this fund for Haggis. We're going to get a factory tour, Jason. Trust me, this is going to make it happen.
Okay. I remember, so you reached out, Zach reached out, and then there was a bunch of drama, and I was new to this pinball stuff, and I don't know about this drama, and I'm like, what the fuck is this drama? Oh, there's one. What is all this stuff? And then by episode, I don't know what it was, like 4 or 5, Zach emailed, hey, do you want to join the Pinball Network? And I was like, I mean, sure, I want to listen to them. I asked him, like, what does that mean? What is all this stuff? Like, you don't own any of my stuff and all that. And it was a great conversation. And then, you know, he has podcasts where he says stuff about, like, you and then all that kind of stuff. I'm like, what did I walk into? What is this fucking circus? Ah, shit, there's another one. And then, like, you know, all the TPN people say all these things about your past and all this. I'm like, cool. Like, you know, no offense. He did reach out as one of literally the first person to say, hey, welcome to the team and all that. And, you know, and I know, like, you have your style, you have your thing, and, like, you know, it works for you. What do you think of
Jason? I think anyone who starts a pinball podcast, and the reason why I reached out right away, and I do the same to any new pinball podcasters, right, is once you decide to do this, put a microphone in front of you and talk about pinball, regardless if we like or don't like each other, we're all in the same boat, right? And it's interesting how everyone approaches just filling the airwaves with their passion for pinball and their point of view on what's going on in the hobby. And so I was happy to see just another solo pinball podcaster throw their hat into the ring. So it's good having you, man. I think the more voices, the better. There's plenty of room for everybody to share their thoughts on this hobby. Yep.
And speaking of, I didn't really do a proper intro to people that don't know who you are. Kaneda's Pinball Podcast, objectively, I guess
you're like subjectively.
Well, subjectively is where it gets, I guess, controversial, but objectively a very popular, if not the most popular, you know, as far as award-winning, 6 years in a row, right? But you've been doing it for 7 years. How many podcasts have you done total? A billion?
808 official. Then there's about probably 20 deleted podcasts for various reasons. And then there's a whole bunch of Facebook Live stuff I do every week. So a lot. I've been doing it for like 8 years now.
Right. And your Facebook Live stuff, I'm not a big social media person, hence why I don't even use my last name. I just kind of, you know, all that kind of stuff. They seem to be very popular as far as like listeners and stuff.
Yeah, they're not bad. I think we get about 1,500 people listen. I mean, we're all nano influencers. If you look at the world of influencers, I think anywhere from like 0 to 5,000 is considered a nano influencer. So, but within our little community, I always look at it through that lens. You know, 1,500 people might watch every Saturday morning spectacular that I do every week, which is a tiny number for followers. But when you look at it through the lens of pinball, it's not that small, considering that would be 1,500 potential buyers of a pinball machine, which is a decent amount of sales for any pinball company. So we all have a little bit of influence in this tiny little hobby of ours.
For you doing it this long, I know I sometimes have weeks where I'm like, I just don't give a shit. I don't want to talk. I don't want to. How do you keep the motivation after 7 years? And how do you come up with your ideas? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the initial motivation was they banned me from Pinside. So that was like what got it all started. So
why is that? Because you were such a nice guy or what?
Okay, so here's an interesting thing. So you can ask so many people, why was I banned from Pinside? And you will legitimately, if I ask for a specific reason why, you won't be able to find any real answer from anybody. I think it was just my overall presence was a little too controversial, too provocative. But I didn't threaten anybody. I didn't do anything like racist, sexist, horrible that was unforgivable. And then you look at the site now, right? And I think it's just been a few people they've banned, but it's okay. I actually look at it as a blessing in disguise because they banned me, which was fine. And I basically said, I still have some thoughts on this hobby. So I started the podcast. And, you know, it started out slowly. We got maybe 500 listeners and it climbed to 800. Then at the height, when I was doing interviews with some notable people in the industry, we were getting like 4,000 to 5,000 listeners. So what motivated me at first was just the anger that they banned me. But what motivates me now is just the listeners. I just love doing the show because I think I have such a great fan base and a listener base. And I won't lie, I'm also a little bit motivated now that we make a little bit of money on the side with the Patreon, which we can talk a little bit about. But it's good. I mean, look, it's not a job. If I ever felt like this was a job, like I don't want to do this, I'll stop doing it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth the energy. I don't make enough money if it becomes something that becomes a chore that I don't enjoy doing. So I just I enjoy doing it. You know how it is, Jason. It kind of feels like when you talk about pinball, it's like talking to yourself in the shower for, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and just other people get to hear our thoughts on this crazy hobby.
So on that note, when I'm in the shower, I'm just saying like, fuck, shit.
Yeah, you're just cursing all day long.
I'm just swearing at myself. And you're talking about like how many listeners you have and stuff like that in the shower, right? Yeah.
As I like clean my body, I'm like 608.
Right. With the pill hat on probably in the shower. What is the origin of that? Is that like
it's all from Akira, or Akira as they would say in Japan. So all of that is the Kaneda sort of imagery, if you will.
Sure. I always wondered if that was like a subtle Matrix thing. I have a Matrix tattoo with a couple pills. I was like, is that a
we
Matrix
have to
thing?
talk about Matrix on this podcast.
Oh, we're going to get to that. Another weird thing about this hobby is I don't know many others where there's like a lot of podcasts that also talk about other podcasts. Like my main, I think, listens outside of pinball is movies, Star Wars, video games, kind of in that, and a little bit of like, philosophy shit. But beyond that, there's so many pinball podcasts, and guys, including myself, you're the third if you count Zach, pinball podcaster I've had on. You're like, what a small community with a lot of big egos.
There's a lot of alpha males. And I mean, here's the thing about my show, though. If you actually listen to my show, and this is more like the last few years, I don't talk really about other pinball content creators. I used to, and I think some people have some memories of the older Kaneda that was a lot more strident and vitriolic. But now, I think people tune in to hear my thoughts on the industry, on the companies, on the games. And my shows now are about 20 to 30 minutes max. And there's really not any mudslinging at podcasters. I'll sling mud at the companies because that's my thing, is I want to keep all these companies honest. But I think, people don't tune in to hear us talk trash about each other.
No. Well, I mean, to be fair, you've done it a few times.
Of course. And it's typically more sometimes on Facebook Live, and it's typically if I'm pretty 3 sheets to the wind, as they would say in Ireland, have some whiskeys in me, and and sometimes, and I never like it when I get that way. So I'm trying, and I haven't in a really long time. I haven't had any drinks and done Facebook Lives about pinball in a while.
That's honestly why I avoid alcohol, just from like relationships I've had in the past where like it gets to that point where like the person doesn't truly want to say that or be that type of person. But then after a while, like in my personal opinion, ex-girlfriend style, I'm just like, well, just fuck off. Like either quit drinking. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to tell you have a drinking problem. I'm just saying I get it. And that's why I've avoided it, because I don't like being a different person. But before your paywall, I listened to your podcast a lot, and I truly like it. I think you're a fantastic host. I think your energy, 800 shows, shit. I mean, my God, you're not like a droll who just welcome to pinball. You are very entertaining. You're very personable. Aside from the dickish shit, or when you talk shit, or when you do the stuff that everyone says is controversial, you're good at what you do, man. No lie. Like I don't think you are where you are because like you flipped a coin and somehow you landed here. No,
I appreciate that. And look, it's, I always look at all of what we do in this podcasting space. It's just entertain people. That's why we're here. Yeah. And I've learned the hard way. I mean, you could go for attention by being negative and angry all the time. And that just like kills you as a podcaster. Like if I was just screaming and complaining all the time, it would wear me out. It would wear the listeners out. So I just try to make it fun. And I think, lately it's been, let's point the energy at what we love. And then let's point the energy at getting these companies to be honest and be more transparent. And I think people really appreciate having a voice like that in pinball.
I'm very much about that. And people have reached out to me, email, and sometimes compared me to you when it comes to that of like, being honest or whatever. And like, okay, I mean, do I take that as a compliment? Depending, I guess, if you had a few drinks or whatever. Like, I don't know, man. But like, you don't need to fucking do that. It's so weird that being honest in this industry is a weird thing, or it's like, what? Like, that's just how shit should be.
Well, it's weird, right? Because it's hard to say like, well, here's the honesty about how good this game is. Like, there's no such thing as honesty when it's a subjective thing. See, right. I think where I try to keep these companies honest is when it's measurable honesty. So if someone says, hey, we're going to ship your game, Jason, in 8 weeks. All right. Okay. Cool. And then 8 months go by and you don't get your game. I'm like, all right, who's going to call this company out for, is that a lie to Jason? Were they honest to him when they said 8 weeks? And that's the kind of stuff I want to go after. I'm not going to argue with people or arm wrestle them whether or not Foo Fighters is great or whether or not Godzilla is amazing. Like, that's a subjective thing.
I want to jump on that topic with you because I think Stern support is absolutely dog shit. Right. I have bought many new in-box games, but one time I bought a new in-box game. I won't even state what game it was, but let's just say it's a very relatively new game by one of the very most popular Keith Elwin design. One of his games, right? Okay. Half the shit didn't fucking work. And I mean that truly. And I emailed in with a list. Here's 6 things that don't work on the $10,000 I just gave you. You know, the response is like 2 days later, did you try turning it off and on again? 2 days later, did you try remove, all this stuff. In the end, with their solution is to just ignore you until the problem goes away and you sell the game out of frustration. And that is so unacceptable. And I cannot believe that the big boy Stern support is so terrible.
Yeah. I think with them selling so many thousands of games, I have to imagine they're like, all right, 2% of these or 5% are going to be somewhat problematic or lemons, if you will. Yeah. And it's to our advantage not to engage the customer one-to-one when they get one of those problematic pins. And that's why they use the distributor model, because ultimately they want you to go to your distributor and they want to be left alone, right? They just want to deal with making the games and not hear from a customer who's having issues. But I think for the amount of games Stern sells, I would have to say, like, the quality I think is great. Is when to your point though, when you have a problem though, I do agree. It's not like they're Spooky or they're Jersey Jack. Like, they're not going to, let me stay on Spooky with this analogy, but they're not going to get back to you right away. They're not going to give you that personal one-to-one sort of interaction that you crave, because all of us have had a moment where our pin is down and all we want is to know what we need to do to fix it. And we want to get it up and running as fast as possible. And it's painful when you have to pound sand for days, if not weeks, as the company ignores you.
Stern should just buy the support department of Spooky, because Spooky's going to give you garbage, but then they'll fix everything for you. Stern will generally give you gold, but not fix shit. So just combine.
It's ironic, right? The company with probably the best quality is the worst customer service, or one of the worst customer services when you need it. And the company with maybe arguably some of the worst quality has the best customer service that's always on.
Honestly, it wasn't even through flipping out. It was with a different distributor. And I know Zach probably would have at least like stepped in, like, I'll fucking take care of it. But the other guy was like, oh, CC me. And they just didn't do shit.
I think all of us need a good friend who is a distributor for help, and also to lock in those hard to get LEs and CEs, because that's the battlefield that's coming, Jason.
I've never been an LECE guy. So I'm
what if it was Matrix? Then aren't you going to want one?
There we go. Yeah. See? Well, for sure.
Well, that's the thing is like if it's Matrix or Back to the Future, I mean, look at the frenzy to get some of these B themes. Once a contemporary A theme drops into the world, and we think we've been complaining about prices and it's hard to get. I mean, look what Pulp Fiction just did. We were all writing off it as a single level game. No one's really going to want it. And then all of a sudden it's freaking Pulp Fiction, right? It's Tarantino's first pinball machine, and the LEs sell out in one day. And now people will pay you $2,500 to $3,000 over just for your spot.
What's an LE game that what is it? Batman? Or isn't there a game that is like an
I've
LE?
got a Batman SLE sitting somewhere in Massachusetts.
Why is it there?
Well, I can't bring it to my apartment right now. I have a little 2-year-old monster that will destroy anything that makes its way in his path. So I'm waiting till I get my house. My housewarming gifts to myself will be the unboxing of my Guns N' Roses number 500 CE, which is sitting at CoinTaker. The Batman SLE, which I paid a lot more to get it back. I used to have one, and then I just missed it. So I had a little bit of seller's remorse. Everyone can relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm just waiting. I have a Pulp Fiction LE ordered as well. And that's it. Those 3 games are most likely going to be my lineup when I get a house, hopefully sometime in the next few months.
Well, that's a good conversation to start to get to know your balls then.
We're getting to know your balls.
All right, let's ask you some questions about you and pinball.
Yeah.
In general, do you prefer location or home play?
Home play.
And well, without having games right now, are you playing more on location, or are you just not playing at all? Or yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
Always on location.
Very different question. What is one of your biggest fears in life?
Wow. I would say not living up to my potential.
That's actually, I can relate to that. Yep.
Yeah.
I said one time that question, and Dennis Kriesel said, "Oh yeah, I'm responsible for people's lives, so I don't want to kill people." I'm like, that's much more honorable than my selfish shit. But it's true. Like for you, what is your what's your potential to you? What is your...
Yeah. No, I think for me, I work in marketing and I work for a lot of really great brands, and I work in an agency. And so for me, I'm just always thinking about, well, what's next? And as I get older as a creative and I see all the kids are on TikTok and just following vapid influencers, I'm like, how much longer will I have a shelf life? As a guy coming up with creative ideas. But I don't know, I also just love the gaming space, and I always sort of moonlight and dream about, well, do I open up a barcade? Do I open up a little Neo Tokyo sake place where I can have all of what I love and it be my little corner of the universe? That's always what eats away at me, is when you work for other people, you always feel like at some point I gotta break away from this and do what I love. Now, I'm also a realist, and I have a son to educate and feed and a wife, and we need to pay for mortgage payments coming up. And so I'm not going to throw everything I've accumulated in my career away just to follow my passions. And that's sort of like, I am pretty content where I'm at right now, where I do enjoy my job. I love what I do. I want to do it as long as I can do it. And then I can have a pinball side hustle that also allows me that creative freedom that I don't always get at work. Because in my industry, Jason, I'm 99% of the times I'm asking somebody else permission if I can execute an idea I have.
Right.
Where my podcast flips that. 99% of the time, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I just got to be careful I don't say that 1% thing I'm thinking that could get me in trouble. And if I can do that, I'll sleep well at night.
I just say that 1% thing.
You do.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. We need more. Between you and I, we average out the normal amount of cursing adults do.
I think so. Yeah. I've gotten full disclosure. Should I say that? Why not? On the TPN has a chat community. I've pushed it too far, where someone said, maybe don't say that. And I honestly thought, maybe it's time I leave TPN. Not because I'm trying to like fucking be rebellious, but like same thing. Like if I have to like watch what I say,
yeah,
I'm not like, again, I'm not a racist. I'm not sexist. I'm not going to, but it's like, that freedom expression and thought, like I thought, but it's too much of a win-win right now to do that. And I like the team and they support me very much and all that. And I support them. So still good, but.
So Jason, what keeps you up at night, or what's your biggest fear?
Very similar to yours. It's that I won't feel satisfied on my deathbed, that I won't feel satisfied that I pushed hard enough and achieved what I wanted to achieve, which is really to feel that I've satisfied my musical, I don't know how to answer this, because any way I answer it, I feel like I'm going to say it like it. I just don't like sounding egotistical, because that's not what it is. Some music in my life has saved me, I'll say, just emotionally or spiritually or whatever. And sometimes like you can't tell the artist that or whatever, not that I wanted to, but to me, it's such a powerful thing. And I write music for the same reason, not to help people, but I know what it's done to me sometimes. And I sometimes want those artists to know, like, you have no idea how impactful your stuff is to some people.
Right.
And I would be satisfied if I knew that anything I did touched one person even remotely that much. I could probably die happy, but I'm so good at it. But the game is so hard to play, the music industry and the career, that like, if I don't give it a college try and I fail I'd rather fail at it trying my ass off versus like never doing it. But it's in the realm of that. So similar, like the potential, just like, fuck,
I'm watching this, like, what is it, the Big Door Prize show where this machine shows up in this little town and it kicks out a card that tells everyone what their true life potential is. It's an interesting concept, and how it freaks with it. It messes everybody's ability to just enjoy day to day because they now think they have to get to that thing.
Right.
It's interesting how disruptive it can be. But yeah, look, as long as we're all above ground, I've been through a lot this year, and I that's the other thing too, is as much as we're aiming for greater things and bigger things, learning how to appreciate everything we have and every day is really the most important, key to happiness. So
yeah,
happy to be here on a Sunday holiday weekend, Jason.
What are we doing?
The most beautiful day of the year, talking pinball. But this is why we love it. I wouldn't be doing this again. It's testament to how much we enjoy talking about pinball.
Yeah, and I've the things that keep me going on some of this is because it's in the realm, it's creative, it's audio. I get to really look, I put way too much work in some of the MEF stuff or some of the audio editing. I shouldn't be doing this for what I'm doing, but I sometimes get messages from people, and I assume you do as well, that are truly heartwarming. Like, they'll say something, they're like, wow,
yeah,
something you said actually meant something to them in a way.
Oh yeah. There's people who listen to all of these shows, and there are sometimes people are battling a disease or they're in the hospital and they're listening to Pinball podcasts as a way to just get their mind off of what they're struggling through. Yeah. And I'm like, crap, now I really got to keep the show going because we got to heal this person with Pinball podcasting. It's in a strange way, all of us, you, me, Zach, Christopher Franchi, you name it, Slam Tilt, all the shows out there, people feel like they have a personal connection with the creators, and it's nice. And that's why it's fun going to shows. It's fun talking to people and seeing them in real life, because we've all built this weird relationship with this motley crew of people that we never would have met had we not found pinball. It's like this weird thing that is a connector of people. And that's actually more interesting in some ways than the games themselves. And I think we all kind of know that. And it's a fascinating thing.
I think because the hobby is small enough, but also has the potential to be so big, it makes it exciting, but plus accessible to everyone. And
there's not too many pins, right? So the last point I'm putting this, like, all you got to do is 6-7 new pins a year, and you're well versed. Yeah. If you follow watches or movies, there's like hundreds of new items a year. You can't possibly know enough, and it's too much work. But this is kind of like you can sit back and know everything going on in pinball in like an hour.
And just like everyone on Pinside who's an expert on every game, every price.
Oh, they are.
Oh my God. All right. Speaking of, what is your favorite era of pinball?
I would say my favorite era of pinball it's right now. It really is. The last 5 years, I've absolutely loved the last 5 years of what's been happening in pinball. Even though I'm a Bally Williams fanboy with the toys, I never grew up in that era. So I just love now. I love all the companies trying to make great games. I love how far along we've come with the experience of pinball. It's truly, this period is better than the 90s probably was, when you think about everyone making games and the variety of games and all the stuff happening.
Do you like, love, or hate fixing games?
I can't fix games, so I can't solder, man. Kaneda, like, once something breaks on a machine of mine, I start crying like a baby and try to find a tech locally. But I can lift a playfield. I can do certain things, but no, I don't like doing repairs. They scare me profusely.
Do you have any horror stories from the secondary market? Have you done much buy, sell, and trade and that stuff?
Yeah, I once bought a Tales of the Arabian Nights that was beautiful in its photos. It was brass plated, new CPR playfield, looked incredible. And then I brought it home, and Eddie, who's a great technician, he passed away, unfortunately. No, his wife passed away. Eddie's still here. So Eddie, he looked at the game and he's like, dude, this game has got water damage all throughout the cabinet. And they basically just put lipstick on a pig and changed the play field and then sold it as this sort of like beautifully brass plated Toten. And because I didn't see the game in person, I just went off of the photos. I kind of got burned on that one.
Yeah.
So that's really it. The rest of the games I've bought used have always been in pretty good condition. I will say this. My first game was Lord of the Rings. I'm looking at your Lord of the Rings poster right now.
Oh, yeah.
And that was my favorite game ever to own because I didn't know when I bought my first pin that having wear in the shooter lane is a bad thing. There were some broken plastics and I didn't care. Like I just played the game and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I wasn't OCD about pinball. And I think what sucks now is like, you know, with all the money we're spending on these games and we're trying to keep them perfect. And there's like, it's just such a weird thing, you know, to have to, you know, from day one, how am I going to preserve this thing to be as pristine as possible? And ultimately, like, that's why so many collectors don't even play their damn games because they're more worried about the condition than they are about the experience.
Yeah, I miss those days too. The ignorance is bliss of like just playing a game.
Yeah.
And then you start to hear about things like shooter wear or insert wear. Now I look at insert ghosting and every little fucking
So
thing.
annoying.
Like,
It does not change
out.
gameplay at all.
At all. But, you know, you could lose like a couple grand and I don't want to lose a couple grand. And,
No, I know.
I know. What's something you want in life? Maybe this is similar to the thing you said earlier, but maybe not.
Besides enough money to satiate all my pinball and car desires, I really just want my son to grow up and A, outlive me, and B, be someone I'm very proud of. And I want to be someone that he's proud of. And that means the world to me. Being a new dad is amazing and it's exhausting. I mean, there's no one tells you the truth about it until you're in it. And then I just want to be a good person, you know, to my family. And I think family is the most important thing, and taking care of ourselves is part of that. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I really want is, you know, to be happy, but those things would make me extremely happy.
What's your favorite game moment in pinball?
Easy answer for me. My favorite pinball moment is There and Back Again in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I just love it. I don't think I've ever seen a game where it's like rewards you for getting far through the game. And then that moment hits in that game and the music changes. And there's just something about it that just makes me so giddy. And no matter how many times you get to it, it's still, I think, one of the most magically coded moments in any pinball machine ever.
That's probably the correct answer to that question. Is there a certain mod that's valuable to you?
Oh man, the mod space. I'm so jealous of these modders, Jason. They're all making like so much money right now. Like there are modders making more money than Keith Elwin right now. And I'm like, what has happened? I think, you know, I like mods that actually enhance an area of the game, but also the experience of the game. So, I mean, I go back to like Lord of the Rings was the Eye of Palantir, where like the original one was crappy and then they put this beautiful one in there. So I loved that mod. But I don't know. Like, I think the mods, the subtle mods that just make some of the sculpts look better, I'm all for that stuff. But I just think, you know, ultimately, there's not one mod that I'm like, oh, that's the one. Like, they got it. Like, they fixed this game because they did that. I don't think at these prices we should be modding these games the way we are. I think the companies are actually seeing what's happening and they're like, why bother? Someone's just going to make a mod for the crappy tank in Galactic Tank Force. We don't need to make it a good looking thing.
Well, that's if anyone buys that game. I guess
David Fix is going to have to buy all 2,000 he said he sold, or else his ass is on the line.
In a game, is the gameplay or theme more important to you?
For me, theme, because I suck at pinball.
Perfect. So you suck at pinball. You do 800 podcasts about it.
Well, and my favorite thing, Jason, number 2, I think I got 3 last year. World's best pinball streamer, third best, second best, without ever actually playing pinball. That's my favorite accomplishment.
Is that because of the Facebook stuff?
Yeah. Just it's because technically I am talking about pinball. I'm just not playing it. It is a stream about pinball.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was always joking with Brenda. I was like, I bet I can go an entire year and not play a single game of pinball and retain the audience.
Ownership. Do you have a fastest regret? You got a game and you're like, I hate this, or
yeah, Magic Girl.
Oh,
Yeah, I paid $23,000 for a Magic Girl, and it arrived. And I'll never forget the phone call from Chris from CoinTaker, because no one knew the game didn't work until I unboxed it. So, Jason, imagine this. You think that Papa Duke figured out the game. American Pinball was working on it for 2 years. They made 25 of them. And mine arrives, and I get this phone call from Chris Marquette, and he goes, dude, it doesn't work. And I thought he was just shitting me. Like, I was like, yeah, come on. What do you mean it doesn't work? I just bought this thing from Kim Mitchell, my friend. He sold me his Magic Girl, which he originally paid $16 for, and then $7,000 deposit on Raza. So I'm like, look, I'll give you $23 for the Magic Girl. And I unbox it. The shooter lane's not even cut out. It's just flat wood, and nothing on the game worked. Like, there's no code, broken machine. And so I was like, I can't believe I just bought a $23,000 beautiful pinball machine that doesn't even play. So that was, I had to get rid of it, and I ended up.
Did you lose money on it?
Yeah, I sold it for $20,000 or $21,000. I was happy just to get out of it.
Ugh.
And I know that these dudes in the Netherlands made that cool kit that kind of turns this stuff on and added some features to it, but it's a joke of a machine. I mean, John Papaduke is the biggest fraud in the history of pinball, and I will not back down from that statement. Look at what he created over like a 15-year period without standing on the shoulders of Bally Williams engineers. The guy doesn't know how to make mechs. And so yeah, that one was a regret. And the other one that I sold pretty quickly that I kind of wish I still had just is Rick and Morty. Just a weird shooting game.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the best shooter, but the code and the call outs. And I think Rick and Morty is actually going to be one of the most sought after pins, for collectors as time goes on, just because of the theme. And there's only 750 ever.
Yeah, I hate playing that game, but I can see why people, it's really bad. What is your favorite machine right now?
Well, there's like the new ones that are out of the new current games that just launched. Obviously, Foo Fighters is amazing. I love it. Shoots like a dream. Right now, my favorite pinball machine, I'm still going to go back on like, it's kind of the ones I own. I love Batman 66. I know it's a little clunky, but I just think it's Lyman Sheets' masterpiece when it comes to code. And I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan, and I know all of the complaints about the game. I know everyone hates the multi-balls. I know everyone thinks the flippers suck. I know it. I hear what you're saying, people, but it's my favorite band. And when you're a few drinks in and you turn up the volume to 11 on Guns N' Roses, I just love playing it. I think it's a super cool pinball experience. So those are my two favorite right now. I haven't had enough time on everything else. And that's the hard part for me, is I just wish I could have more time. Even on games like Godzilla, on the new offerings, I would love to play The Godfather. There's not a Godfather, Jason, in New York City. The movie takes place in New York City.
What the hell?
I know. It's like Jack Guinari. Get a freaking mobster pin in the mobster location the movie takes place in. But it's hard to get an intimate feeling for a lot of games unless you have friends that have them, or a location close by that has a lot of lineup. But, and I support Jack Barr. John's a great friend of mine. But I keep giving him crap because he doesn't have the new stuff. He only has Foo Fighters Pro.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite pin right now? I just heard you say Foo Fighters was your favorite pin of all time. Bold statement.
No, of all time, it's Jurassic Park. But as of like right now, I can see why Foo Fighters is. It's a little not shallow. I have it for sale, but more so because I need money because I bought a car. But it would be Jurassic Park still. That's the one game I just don't get sick of, even though Lord of the Rings is probably like my favorite theme. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of people's favorite. Every time I have it, I don't fucking play it. I've played the shit out of it. Probably Jurassic Park.
Once that Jurassic Park theme song hits, right? I mean, it's just like you're in it. You're in it.
Yeah.
Do you have the updated or the hacked software that puts the movie clips in it?
Yeah, I don't like it as much because it doesn't do the timing as well as the normal code. So for me, I don't look at the screen much, so I use audio cues more than anything to play. And so it kind of fucks with me a little bit. But
Right.
I like sometimes to hear Jeff Goldblum. You can swap it pretty easy.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
That's a great game. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been looking at Jurassic Park LEs are kind of like unobtainium right now.
Around here, there was a couple recently, but it was the one LE I actually ever legit considered, other than like Matrix, as you said. Jurassic Park was the only one. All right, last question. What's your least favorite game? Could be of all time, could be
Magic
right
Girl.
now. Okay,
No,
pretty easy.
Least favorite game. So I'm going to say this, and it's simply what this game symbolizes for me, and it is James Bond's 60th anniversary edition.
Sure.
I hate what Stern did with the pricing. I hate how they tried to show the community that has supported Stern all these years the disrespect to the collector base with that pricing. And you look at it, Jason, they sold it $19,995 was the price they put on it on their own website. Then what did they do a day later? They removed the price. And then they say, call for price. And so for people who bought it directly, Jason, they're $22,000 in with taxes at Stern. And now I can march into any distributor's office with $15,500 and walk out with the game.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just don't do this. Like, don't fleece us. Like, at least give the value to the customers and the community that's been supporting you all these years. I mean, even at $15,000, that game's a ripoff, right? It's like,
Yeah.
But at least charge like 15 and give the people a couple thousand maybe in value. But it's just, I hate what that game stood for. I hate the way they priced it. I hate that they put Keith Elwin, because we love Elwin. I don't want him associated with some cash grab Mickey Mouse marketing game like that. Like, come on. He's deserves more respect than that.
And I don't know if Bond is the theme to make that type of super LE on. Star Wars? Sure. Strip it down, call it whatever. Harry Potter? Sure, you could charge $30,000 and not put shit in there. But Bond, I don't know. I mean,
is there a Harry Potter pinball machine happening? What have you heard?
What have I heard? I have heard basically yes. How about you? What have you heard?
Yeah. No, it's so weird the way Joe did that petty announcement spoiling Jersey Jack's big reveal. I don't know. But I don't think we're going to see it for like 3 years earliest. So,
well, let's say we're done getting to know your balls. Thank you very much. Let's talk about this rumored stuff because there's so much. Harry Potter. I mean, what do you think? Are you a Harry Potter fan?
I've seen all the movies. I didn't read the books. I think it's too much material for one pin. You're just going to disappoint the hardcore fans. There's no way you can get 7 movies into one game.
So as a hardcore fan, I don't like the idea. I think Zach was bringing it up of like making multiple versions. I would fucking hate that, to have to spend too much to get the experience.
I brought that up first. He stole my great idea, Zach.
Figure it out.
No, it's a good idea. They could. Okay, why don't you think that's a good idea? Like, to make
for a business, yes, it's a good idea.
What do you mean? But at least then you can do each of those chapters, those 3 chapters, justice versus having to cram it all into one.
Oh, the FOMO though of only having one of the 3 $15,000, $45,000
Right,
to
for all
own.
3.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Crazy, right? When you start doing the math, you can't do the math anymore in pinball. You got to just pretend you didn't spend that much on these games.
Well, if they can put that much into Pirates, I think they could put it all into Harry Potter.
Jason, let me ask you, like, are you excited that Jersey Jack has it? Because I used to think Jersey Jack was the only one I'd want to make a Harry Potter game. Now I've reversed feeling that way because of how barren their last 2 games have been.
Okay, I see your point. I think from a aesthetics point of view, yes, I'm glad Jersey Jack. If it was like a Kapow level Harry Potter, I think that would be the right call. If Stern had it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would be cool with either the book theme / art or the movie. If they did the movie like Star Wars style, where they get some Photoshop trash and that's it, I don't want to see that.
I'm just worried Jersey Jack employees are going to be like dressing up as wizards and stuff after what they did with Godfather. It's like Jack Winari as Dumbledore.
So, I mean, no disrespect to Jersey Jack. Having employees in that game completely throws me out of the universe.
You can't do it. You can't do it. It doesn't make any, right? It's like when I saw that, I was like, wait, you can't. You can't even name any theme where that's appropriate.
Only in like, I know there's a lot of Midway and Mortal Kombat background and a lot of the pinball people, Mike Vinicor and a lot of Stern. I like the toasty thing in Mortal Kombat 2 is cool, but that game also has a little bit of humor in it. But taking something like Godfather and adding in some like almost like company memes, like, nah, that's not the game to do it on, in my opinion.
And it's different if the design team of like a Mortal Kombat is putting themselves in it as an Easter egg, that's much different than this iconic movie that is 40 or 50 years old where you have nothing to do with it. Stay out of it. It's like, imagine if they made Star Wars and the stormtrooper pulls its helmet off and it's Eric Minier and you're like, what the hell? Like, no, you're not allowed to do that.
No. Yeah, it throws me out of the game. The first time I saw that, I was just like, oh, no, that's to me.
You know, you can turn off. I have a friend who has Godfather. You can turn off all of the Jersey Jack call outs and all their additional like bada bing, like wise guy stuff and just keep it more focused on the content from the movie.
Oh.
And I didn't know this. And he's like, Chris, when you do that, it kind of removes all the cheesiness that people are complaining about. And it's a much better experience. So I didn't know that either. So I think it's an interesting thing that, you know, again, I don't think a lot of people are aware of.
Yeah, I would think they should do that by default and then turn it if you want the Easter eggs and all the people, like whatever. Yeah, so Harry Potter, don't do that. Don't put your faces in it. Yeah. Maybe that Steve Ritchie Haggard one. Or
did you see that? That was pretty funny looking.
That looked like legit. Like, oh, he's in the movie.
Who do you think's going to design Harry Potter?
No, I just want them to give Elwin like a couple million just so you do it. Contract it out.
They tried to get Elwin to go to Jersey Jack. Do you know that?
No.
And he said no. And then Steve Ritchie was like the safety, well, not the safety hire, but like Ritchie is who they got when Elwin turned them down.
Was the check not big enough?
I think, I think if you're Elwin, you want to be at a place that's going to crank out your ideas faster.
Sure.
I mean, I feel like if you're a designer and an artist, Stern is the place to be, just because you want to see your stuff come to fruition more frequently. Now, Jersey Jack, higher bomb. That's the exciting part, or used to be. I'm so excited for Steve Ritchie's game, Jason, because it's like, this is it, right? Because I don't know if you saw his interview when he talked about leaving Stern, but he's not happy. Like he wants to send an FU to Stern with his next game. So I'm expecting something epic.
On Elton John? Is that what we're talking about?
I think it's Matrix.
Really?
So I heard it's Matrix. I heard it's not Elton John. If it is Elton John, we will all be crying together because I don't think anybody wants that as like his comeback hint.
I won't say who, but I heard from a employee at a distributor that it was Elton John. At a manufacturer, sorry, not a distributor.
Yeah, I heard that too, and I think they might have switched it.
I fucking hope so.
I fucking hope so too. I just want to get I want to get Haggis some money in this charity. We've stopped cursing. I've made you PG. Come on, let him rip.
No. Fuck.
There you go.
Yeah, give him some money. Yeah, if it's Matrix, holy shit. I mean, for real. Like, I mean, I did, text Zach of like, hey, yo, guy, list me. Fucking just put me on all the whatever list you want to call it and just give me pickings. He's not going to just give me pickings, but I want to.
Is he giving real on the Patreon, on the Discord? Are they getting like rumors like this? Because Zach's got to know a lot that he can't say. And I was like, all right, what?
I don't join his Discord. I'm not a subscriber of him, not because it is, but it's kind of like weird. Like, are you? It gets weird. Like, he's not my boss or anything. We're on the same team and we're like doing the stuff together and flipping out sponsors this podcast. So it kind of gets weird where like I try not to get money or weird stuff involved, but he's very good with like giving people a little bit, but like he's also not breaking contracts, whatever he has with manufacturers. I think, I don't know. I'm not even in the Discord, so shit, I don't know. He probably knows shit. I don't know.
No, as he should. I mean, look, I think distributors should know more than they actually do. I think it's ridiculous how I talk to so many distributors who are like, I have no idea what David Fix is about to do. And then he wants me to sell his product and he's keeping us in the dark. It's like the distributors are finding out at the same time as the customers how many games are they going to make, how much they cost, when they're, and it's like, you can't you shouldn't treat your distros like customers. They've got to know more.
Yeah.
Because they can help you plan. And here's the greatest thing about distributors. They can give valuable feedback to all of these companies. And I think more of these companies should listen to what the distros are saying because they're talking to the customers on the front line every day.
I wonder if they are listening. It doesn't seem like it.
I don't know. Would you make Galactic Tank Force if you were listening to what customers wanted?
No. God, that game is bad.
Yeah.
Matrix.
Yeah. Matrix. I think Matrix, Steve Ritchie. I think we see it by the end of the year. I think by the end of the year. Yeah.
You think it's that over Elton John?
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too. And look, if I'm wrong, guess who they're going to blame? Not me. They're going to blame Steve Ritchie and Jack Guarnieri. So
how did this rumor start? Do you know?
Well,
the Matrix one?
It's always been in the wheelhouse of Jersey Jack because of their relationship with Warner Brothers. So if you think about it, Jack's got what? Willy Wonka was Warner Brothers, Wizard of Oz. I feel like there's one more I'm missing. And then the Matrix, and then plus Jack, he loves to put these teasers or these hints out there. And I think he was just at the European pinball show. And why did they have the Matrix? That one that those Netherlands guys made. They reskinned Johnny Mnemonic into the Matrix, and Jack's sitting there in front of it next to Godfather. So it's like, all right, maybe he's trolling us or maybe he's not, but everybody, 99.9% of people want it to be the Matrix. The only person that wants Elton John Pinball is Elton John.
Why do you think Elton John would be a rumored title, though, over Matrix? I don't see the logic there.
I think they have the license. I think it makes sense that Steve Ritchie would have a music pin. Jersey Jack, from a business standpoint, Guns N' Roses was a phenomenal success for them. And so...
But that's Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, but here's the weird thing about all these musical acts, because I would argue like Foo Fighters is not big. Like they're a medium level band. They have none of their okay, if you go by album sales, Jason, Elton John has more albums sold than Guns N' Roses, Foo Fighters, and probably Metallica and Aerosmith combined.
Sure.
So you're like, all right, so clearly the dude has fans, but he's another one of these artists that spans a 50-year period of time, and he's no longer as relevant as he used to be. And I just don't think he has the cool factor, right, of Guns N' Roses or Foo Fighters within the demo of pinball right now, which is primarily 40 to 60-year-old white males who love pinball. I don't really hear people rocking out to Elton John and Crocodile Rock. It's kind of corny if you ask me. But but look at Jersey Jack's theme selections, man. I don't know. It's been all over the place. So I don't feel like The Godfather to me is probably the worst selection of a theme that you could probably do.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I think at least, there's glitz and glamour in Elton John, and it's rock and roll, so you can pump up the energy. The rainbow colors there will make sense. But Godfather, I just don't get it.
Well, and Elton John's 70s and his late 60s, early 70s materials, very high energy. Crocodile Rock, you've got, Benny and the Jets, you've got I'm Still Standing. I think that was a little later on, but his stuff, he rocks out. It's just, all right, but Matrix, right? Hopefully it's the Matrix.
Oh my God. If it's Matrix and then followed up with Harry Potter in a couple of years, they're just printing money. Yeah, I think
they need to though. Jersey Jack needs to get its mojo back, and it's not going to happen with Elton John.
When do you think they started to lose their mojo? Toy Story 4?
Yeah. No, they lost their mojo when the Guns N' Roses playfields fell apart. And then Jack Guarnieri said that this is the fault of people who play the game. And I hated their response. And Mirko has been shipping. Mirko in general has maybe, if it wasn't for the Abbas family, Mirko would have been solely responsible for destroying Jersey Jack Pinball. Because people would have gave up on them with the quality, and Jack could not afford to give people replacement playfields or fully populated playfields replaced. They just could not afford to do that. And it's so weird, right? Because some of the playfields are good, some are not. They figure it out, then they have issues again. But once that happened with Guns N' Roses, that's when people started to be like, all right, here we go again. Playfields are falling apart. It's headache to do a replacement. And then Toy Story 4, I'm the biggest Toy Story fan. I mean, as much, Jason, you love The Matrix. I mean, Toy Story to me, the first movie is one of the most perfect pieces of cinema of all time. Captures every boy's love of their toys and how we used our imagination, all of it, right? How could you mess up Toy Story? And they found a way to do it. So I'm like, that's why I'm nervous about Harry Potter and Jersey Jack, because I'm like, if anyone's going to mess it up, it's going to be them. And then
Spooky would fuck it up.
Yes, but I would throw. Here's why I was thinking about this when I was thinking about our chat. Has Stern ever really messed up a theme?
Star Wars.
Yes, you're right. Okay, other than Star Wars, other than the Steve Ritchie games that he's messed up, like maybe Game of Thrones wasn't that bad, but it didn't really capture it. But recently, I think Stern is like kind of knocked it out of the park with all their themes.
Someone posited this, which I think a lot of people agree with. What if they switched the theme and game of Star Wars and Iron Maiden, and Star Wars had the layout of Iron Maiden? Holy shit. That'd be the easily number one game on Pinside.
Yeah. You know what's weird is Iron Maiden was originally Guardians of the Galaxy. They reskinned it to Guardians. See, the thing is that here's what I heard. This is a really strange rumor, but it kind of makes sense, is that Steve Ritchie was working on Jurassic Park, and his design for Star Wars was Jurassic Park, and it was supposed to be the raptors running around the park, which is what that big mech was. It makes no sense as like the hyperdrive. It makes absolutely no sense. Like why is this the main mech in a Star Wars game?
No. And even then they made more of a warp or hyperspace was way more talked about and a big deal in Star Trek than Star Wars. Like they wouldn't sometimes they would say we'll jump to light speed, but it wasn't like a big fucking thing like in Star Wars where it was, they just fucked it up.
Yeah. And it's the biggest property to fuck up. And I think what's sad about it is this it now, or can someone actually go make a good version of the original trilogy? I wonder what the statute of limitations are on these contracts, right? Like, I mean, we've seen in the video game space, like people will revisit Star Wars multiple times. So yeah, I don't know. Does Stern just own it exclusively? They probably do. They probably have a right of refusal where they can just re-upping the license as much as they want.
So if Mandalorian was the next step into it, they're not going to make one for Ahsoka.
I think they messed up that theme too. I thought they didn't they just keep messing up. I guess Stern has messed up the biggest themes they've ever had. But I think they're going in the right direction. I think Godzilla is the right direction. I think Jurassic Park is. I think Jaws, which is the rumor of Keith Owen's next, is going to be amazing. And I think John Borg is going to do Indiana Jones, because he was really upset that the last Indiana Jones he did for Stern was pretty terrible.
So what are you saying? You think Indiana Jones is going to be a whole, like on Dial of Destiny, or a whole new...
I think it's going to be that. And I don't know what the movie storyline is, but I heard, and maybe this is incorrect or correct, that it's Indiana Jones. The Dial of Destiny, I think, allows them to time travel. So I think he might go back and appear in a lot of the iconic moments from the previous movies, which would be an interesting way to sort of work in, all those major elements we'd love to see, the bridge scene or the big boulder or the Ark of the Covenant. So we'll see. I have no idea. You know what we need is a Barbie pinball machine. I was thinking about that. Like,
who's going to buy that?
Like all the parents out there.
I'm not going to buy a Barbie game. Are you?
I'd rather.
What's your son's name?
I would rather. Oh, Killian.
You gonna buy one for him?
I'd rather have Barbie than Godfather.
Okay.
It would outsell Godfather.
So, fuck. I don't know about that. I can't get on the Barbie train, man. They make if it was spooky, they would make a Barbie and then a Ken version. The Ken wouldn't sell.
The Barbie collectors are crazy though, but
I guess, man, you know something that I don't. You're paying attention to Barbies. What the fuck? So Indiana Jones, you mentioned Jaws, which is the it's going to be Jaws.
Yeah, it's going to be Jaws.
Yeah. Keith Owen. And then Venom, which is just on the other side of a couple months, right?
Yeah, Venom's been done for like 2 years now.
I wonder what that's going to be. A multiplier fest?
Well, it's Brian Eddy, and I think we're all still waiting for Brian Eddy to bring a mech into the game that's somewhere close to the Medieval Madness Castle. We know he's capable of really cool mechs. I think the projector in Stranger Things was a really interesting idea. I think when that UV kit got put in, that game came to life, and then the code turned around and made that game a lot better. I think the first year of owning a Stranger Things was pretty terrible for most people. But look, Stern's been on a roll, and Zombie Yeti's doing the artwork for Venom, so it's going to look insane. And that's his perfect wheelhouse, is that comic book style for Yeti. So I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't really, Venom's not a thing that I follow or would run towards, but I think Stern knows what they're doing. They go between major movies, they go between Marvel properties, and they go between music pins. And as long as they sell 2,000 to 3,000, they're on to the next, and everything makes them money.
They'll sell Venom for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Another rumored game that I know you bring up more than anyone is them vaulting Tron.
Yeah.
Is there any meat to this rumor? Is this stuff you hear? Are you just saying this for listens? Come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I hear stuff, and the whole thing with vaults. I think what happened is the COVID backlog and the supply chain. I think Stern, when they moved to their new facility, I think we're going to start to see a few vaults again. And I think Tron is on that list. I think Ghostbusters is on that list. I would love Lord of the Rings to be revisited somehow, without pixelated artwork. And I mean, it's all right there, right, Jason? I mean, just make it and they will come. But also Stern's got how many designers now? 4 designers on staff, which means there's not even enough cornerstones a year for each designer to have a release. And the demand for Stern Pinball globally is humongous. So they can't even fulfill the orders they're getting. And so who knows, right? I mean, I think what's terrifying if I was competing with Stern is at any point they could vault one of 20 games and sell another 3,000 to 4,000 instantly if they just go back to their portfolio of classics that people love. I mean, who else can do that in pinball? There's more old Stern games that are good than old Bally Williams games I want to see remade.
They could print money with Lord of the Rings, Tron, Metallica, Ghostbusters. Right? Am I missing any?
Yeah.
That's probably...
I'm trying to think. Those are the big ones. And if they actually close the flipper gap on Ghostbusters... Because they've actually, when they redid the Spider-Man, when they vaulted Spider-Man, I think some people forget this, they actually fixed some of the mechs and changed some of the engineering to make the gameplay better. And they've openly admitted that it was a design in CAD when they designed Ghostbusters, they made a mistake with the flipper gap. It was not supposed to be that large. And question becomes is what do you do if you do that? For the original owners who are going to complain that they have a game that, is more difficult and not as much fun. But I don't think Stern really cares, though. I mean, everyone who's got a game, they're not in it to preserve people's secondhand value. They just want to make themselves money and get on to the next game. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a for-profit company. I support that.
Well, thanks for stopping by, talking balls, talking rumors.
Yeah.
Anything else on your mind this fine Sunday, Memorial Day weekend?
No, I mean, look, I've waited 4 years to get onto the Pinball Network, and it's been fun. And this is what it's always about, Jason, just getting together. I think everybody's drama is, blown out of proportions, and we're all good people who are in this hobby. We are. I mean, there's really very few jerks. And they don't last very long in pinball. So thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to join your show and for some of the network listeners to hear Kaneda. And, if people want to join the Kaneda Club, it's really easy. Just Google Kaneda's Pinball Podcast. And it's behind the paywall now that everyone's doing Patreon. It is funny to see everybody join the easiest way I think to show some financial support to all these content creators. But Jason, I do believe that. And this takes a lot of time and effort, and we do love doing it. And it is nice to see the support from the fans. So, and Jason, I do want to give you a little shit. I saw you hid how many Patreon subscribers you have. Unhide that shit. Don only has 3. All right, 3. So
To your point earlier, I was gonna stop the Patreon, and I still might. I was serious when I'm like, I'm gonna start kicking people off, because then it's like I don't want to work for these people.
I know. Yes.
I don't want to Yeah. Truly, I'd rather make money from like ads and sponsorship than like have like, oh, people pay me and stuff like that. So I hit it. I stopped it. It's still there. A couple people have posted, but I don't know what I have. I have under 20. It's not that many, because I'm just like, fuck it. I don't want to do this. Where it's like, objectively, does anyone put as much time and effort into audio production as me? No. But I mean, like, I'm not trying to like win off of that shit. But then if I start like comparing my numbers to yours or other people, because we all have competition in us, I'll start to like get down on myself, and for me, I don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it's so much time, it's so much effort. And
can I ask you one final question? Because I want to see what your opinion is on this. What do you think about my latest effort to ask all these pinball companies to open up their doors on a random day and go live to show us their manufacturing? How many people are working there? How many games they can make a week, and be more transparent? Because this is my new driving mission in this year, is to keep these companies honest with us consumers, what their manufacturing capabilities are, because that's the thing that is near and dear to me as I think about a positive thing I can bring out in this hobby. Is I do think it's positive when consumers, they just know like how many games can these companies make before they give these companies non-refundable deposits. And you shouldn't be hiding your manufacturing. Why is it a big secret? All these, every time we see behind the doors, it's only helped these companies look good and gives a more, sort of personal touch to the companies and who we're supporting on the manufacturing level.
Are you talking Stern and Jersey Jack as well, or more of the smaller
So Stern does
ones?
their factory Fridays every Friday, right? I mean, no one's wondering whether or not Stern's making games, right? They're cranking out about 600 a week. Jersey Jack has shown us a little bit behind the scenes. I still think people are unclear how many games Jersey Jack can make a week or a month. I mean, we could guess, right? Maybe 100, 150 a week, around there. Spooky's been the most transparent since day one. They'll tell us right away, like, we can make this many a week. If you're this number game, they make their games in numerical order. So I'm going after companies like Haggis, and I'm going after companies that they won't say this stuff. And I think if you're going to ask people for non-refundable deposits, the least you can do is be transparent about how many games a week you can make and how many people are just working there.
Yeah. I don't follow them as much as others. Is that something that are they over-promising, under-delivering?
Yeah, like when you're telling people your game's going to arrive in 8 weeks and it takes 8 months, and then they're about to announce another game. And I'm not against any of that. It's just like, okay, but just let's not make this one big secret endeavor. And it's not just them. I mean, for the longest time, I think, a lot of people got burned in pinball or sent money in, and then, they just wait. I mean, look at American Pinball right now. I have friends who ordered Galactic Tank Force. They have no idea when they're getting their game. So then why are you taking orders? If ETA is so unclear, I don't think a pinball company should sell a product unless they really have a legitimate estimate on when you're going to get your game.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Okay. All right. I want to get behind. What do you think my odds are of getting Damien to open the door at Haggis? He won't do it. What do you think? We do $500 to charity, $1,000?
Oh, for him to do it? Well, how many fucks do I have to say?
I don't know. Can you add a bunch of fucks to the end of this podcast? Just play that.
No problem.
Yeah, just play that song for like 20 minutes.
Oh, sure. I was actually working on that this morning. I'm changing it to, surprise for another time. But yeah, right. I will. I'll put 30 to 40 fucks at the end of this episode.
All right, good. And we'll get someone to tally them all up, and then I'll make the official offer again.
All right, let me ask you one hard question.
Yeah.
Why do you care so much about number of listens, my Patreon, the all that stuff? Why do you care?
In our sort of space of creating content to attract listeners, the most easy way to just know how well you're doing is how many people are listening, right? And no one's making anybody listen. So it's always been about that. My big thing has always been this. Since day one, I've always transparently let people know how many people listen to every episode of Kaneda's Pinball Podcast. And the the other podcasters out there, and they're, and I'll just name names, like Zach's
Sure.
always like, yeah, numbers don't lie. Like, we're number one. Like, cool. And I'm like, well, where are the numbers? And it's just, that's the thing is if you're going to make a statement that we're the best because we have the most listeners, I fully expect them to have the most listeners now for sure, because I'm behind the paywall, but you got to show the numbers. If you were in high school and you're like, I got the largest penis in high school. It's like, well, show us. Nah, it's cool. Just take my word for it. Like, that's kind of...
It's a dick measuring. I see. That's the answer.
Well, all of this is just, fighting for a mountain of dirt. I think, look,
Sure.
ultimately, I think Zach and I have always had the best 2 pinball podcasts out there. And I would just say by the numbers again,
Sure.
And so that is why, as much as we might argue and say some stuff or be passive aggressive, I'm always going to have respect for Zach and what he's created in his show, because I think he's a great pinball personality. And I think him and Greg hosted the best pinball award show. And since they haven't hosted it, it hasn't been as good. Do I want there to be 2 award shows? No. Do I think award shows are fun? They used to be. It used to be a lot of fun when we were doing those award shows at the beginning. It's turned into anything really but fun for a lot of the content creators. I still think the manufacturers and the designers, they still have a lot of fun with it. But I can assure everybody that whether or not, I have 600 listeners or 5,000 or this many Patreon subscribers, none of it really matters that much. It doesn't. The only reason I would harp on it is because I do think I get a lot of arrows from a lot of people. And I'm just like, well, if I'm that negative, horrible person that nobody listens to, then why do all these people listen to it? So, and I'm not making anybody listen to it, right? And I think the Kaneda, or I'll speak about myself in the third person, which is always weird.
There you go.
But I think what I talk about in pinball is good. And I think it balances out what we're getting from a lot of the other media, which and the other media, a lot of them are friendlier with the company. So they're going to be a little bit softer in their takes on things. Some of them are making money for every game sold. So of course they're going to be a little bit more positive about, their inventory that they need to move. And I expect that. The only thing that I think is the biggest danger in everything we do, Jason, is there is a line though. So I expect, if Zach's a distributor and he's making content, I expect him to sell me on the benefits of the game. Nobody made a better piece of content to help sell a game than his content and Greg's content around Pulp Fiction, right? He dropped that 20-minute, the making of Pulp Fiction, and look what happened, right? Game sold out. It was perfect.
Yeah.
But once you go from, and I expect a distributor to sell me on the product, but once you start reviewing something that you're also selling, that's the line where it gets a little bit foggy on whether or not you should be reviewing something. Because AMC does not review movies. They just want to get butts in seats, right? A Chevy car dealership doesn't review cars or give out car awards. So, because of course they would give their cars the awards.
Right.
So, that's it. And look, I looked at all of the straight down the middle game reviews. They've done 45, 46. Not a single game ever got a C. So it's there's some shit games out there. And it's I get it. And it's just pinball. It doesn't matter. And I appreciate everything that Zach and Greg have done for pinball content. I appreciate what Jack Danger has done. I appreciate what all the other podcasters do. Because think about it, the people that are having the biggest issues with it, it's not even us. It's we have a lot of fans that can get highly energized around this stuff. But ultimately, I respect anybody that takes their free time and makes pinball content when they don't have to, because we're the ones that make this hobby interesting week in and week out. The companies aren't doing that. They make they make 6 games a year. There's only 6 days of real news a year. And the rest of it is dudes like us keeping people entertained to get to the next game. And so we all really are in the same boat. And, while we might squabble every once in a while, ultimately, when we see each other in person, I think everyone is a good person. Most of us are family people. Most of us have, most of us can bury the hatchet and just have a beer and talk about how shitty Galactic Tank Force is, right? I mean, that's really the common denominator for all of it. I just love it. I'm just trying to trigger Franchi to come back out because he said he's never podcasting again. If we just talk enough shit about Galactic Tank Force, he's gotta resurface.
It's a bad game. It's a shit game. It's just bad, and I've played it enough to just say I fucking didn't like it. I mean, I feel bad for all that stuff with him. I don't know him, and I'm not gonna it sucks. That's the hard part, I think, sometimes about being honest about these games is that like the creators have to have a harder thicker skin of this is not a knock against you. Shit.
Well, like it's also like you got paid, bro. You got paid.
Yeah, your job's done. You're good.
You're not making more money if they sell more. And if you sign that deal, I would not have signed that deal for Galactic Tank Force. And it's not personal. And
the art on Galactic Tank Force is the best thing on it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Because I feel like Franchi's like, oh, cool. We're making a 1950s sci-fi game. I'm going to crush it. And his art looks great. And then he's like, what the fuck is this dubstep? Why is this game got 1990s Wing Commander, like full motion video acting going on? Like the game is so a mashup of things that just don't go together.
And the recent promo, what the fuck was that? I don't understand. No comments, nothing.
Once you turn comments off, I mean, that's even worse than saying the numbers don't lie and then not sharing the numbers.
The numbers don't lie.
Just share the numbers. Zach, the numbers are great. That's the weird thing is his numbers are phenomenal. And so were the numbers for, who else did it? Was Marty and Ryan when they did head to head. They had great numbers. Their numbers were higher than mine.
Are you saying listens? No,
yeah, they're just share them. You know why they don't share them is, I don't know. Every once in a while, you're going to have like an off month, or you might have certain shows might get more than others, and it's fine. Yeah. Like, it's.
Oh, I've had some off shows. Oh boy.
I've had 803 off shows. A couple are good, Jason, this was such a pleasure, man. I really do appreciate the offer. And, we'll have to do this again sometime, and we'll get you on to Kaneda's one day too,
Sure. Well, yeah, next time you're having a few drinks, remember that you don't talk shit about the pinball party. I'll replay this for when you do.
Like we're blood brothers. Don't you remember, Chris? Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Appreciate it, man. All the best.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Kaneda, for stopping by. For Jason, this has been the Pinball Party Podcast, episode 31. The following is a song titled Highway by Neon Dale. We'll see you later.
Highway, drive me, four-leaf, guide me, swallow. I got a bitter pill for you. Follow. You got a voice inside of you.
pill for you. Fuck.